So today we're going to start seated. It could be directly on your yoga mat, it could be on a folded blanket or a bolster, it could be on a bed pillow. And that is just to help the hips be a little bit more comfortable. Sometimes having the hips higher can bring comfort to the hips and to the low back. So we're going to find our comfortable seated position. Relax our shoulders down away from our ears. We'll take a big breath in through our nose and a long breath out through our mouth. So we'll pucker our lips. This is our pursed lip breathing. So sometimes that can just help us settle in, release any tension, help to kick in that parasympathetic nervous system that helps us relax. Just extending the exhale lets our body know that we can relax now. So one more of those, in through our nose, long slow breath out through our mouth. And we're just going to do next our diaphragmatic breathing. So now we're going to breathe in and out through our nose. And we're going to try to bring that breath deep into our lungs so that our belly kind of puffs out as we breathe in and then softens as we breathe out. So if you don't get that right away, don't worry about it. You practice it tonight while you're sleeping. Just notice when we're already relaxed that becomes a little bit easier. Letting the belly expand on the inhale and soften on the exhale. We're going to add to that diaphragmatic breath now. So instead of just allowing the belly to soften on the exhale, we're going to actively pull it in. So we breathe in and let the belly expand. And then we breathe out and pull the belly button straight back toward the spine. So my hand is just there for some tactile awareness, but you can put your hand wherever you want. Sometimes overlaying one hand or bringing one hand behind the other and letting the thumbs stack together or gently tap together is comfortable. Some people like resting hands on their knees, whatever works for you. So again, we inhale, let the belly expand. Exhale, pull the belly in firmly. So with this next exhale, try to pull the belly in as firmly as we can. Tighten it, tighten it, tighten it, 10 out of 10. So now you know what 10 feels like. Now back down on that next exhale. See if we can pull it into about a 3. So just a little bit of engagement in the abdominal muscles. And then the trick is going to try to be to keep the belly pulled in about 2, 3, 4 with the inhale as well. So it helps to really have length in the spine. So we're not going to have as much movement now. So we're practicing that so that we can keep our back safe when we begin our yoga postures, our flowing movements. So that will come with practice as well. So we'll come back to that belly engagement that happens with both the inhale and the exhale. Now let's just soften our shoulders. So sometimes it helps to do a roll. We're going to inhale the shoulders up and exhale them back and down. In and out through the nose now. One more time, we'll inhale the shoulders up and exhale them back and down. And we're just going to check on alignment. So similar to when we are standing in our mountain, that we always want our ears over our shoulders and our shoulders over our hips. So we tend to sort of move in this direction as the day moves on, and the ears get in front of the shoulders and the shoulders get in front of the hips, and we get that rounding in the back. So just practice lengthen the spine, and if we're used to jutting our chin forward, which is not uncommon, sitting at the computer, even driving, we tend to do this. So think about giving ourselves a double chin so we can feel that length in the spine and let the ears stack over the shoulders. So that's called our chin lock. And we're not going to hold that forever. It just helps us to find that alignment, right? Awesome. So now I'm going to get rid of the pillow. And we're going to push back to our child's pose. Now I threw that pillow away, but if you have discomfort in the knees or hips in this position, sometimes a pillow or a bolster or a folded blanket can help. We would just tuck it between our calves and our thighs, just so you see what that looks like. I'll grab that again. So sometimes the child's pose here, if you had a thicker blanket, might make the world of difference. So we're meeting in our child's pose. We're going to keep our knees underneath us. Our arms are extended. I'm thinking ahead. I don't want to hit that plant. So with our arms spread, or our fingers spread and our arms extended, we're going to shift our weight forward, pulling our belly in, letting our shoulders come beyond the crease of the wrists and our shoulders back and down. So we have that same alignment. Ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. If someone were to draw a line, we have that same alignment. So that's our kneeling plank. So we'll push back to our child's pose on the exhale. We're going to inhale forward. So we're going to practice pulling the belly in as we shift forward into that kneeling plank. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. One more time, inhaling forward, exhaling back. The next time we shift forward, we're going to bend the elbows, let them hug the body, and lower down just a bit, and push back to our child's pose. So we can choose how much we bend the elbows here. Maybe we bend them 1 millimeter. Maybe we come down a little farther. We push back into our child's pose. So we feel that breath flowing, inhaling, exhaling. One more time, shifting our weight forward, shoulders come beyond the crease of the wrist, little or big bend in the elbows, and we'll sink back to our child's pose. Okay, this next time, from our child's pose, so the arms are fully extended, fingers are spread, we're going to move into our down dog. So this is a good starting point. If we have short arms and we go up into our down dog, we're not going to be in the best position. So we want length in our arms, fingers fully spread. Then we tuck our toes and lift our hips to the sky. So we can gaze back at the toes, tailbone reaches up. So we still want that nice alignment where the ears are in line with the shoulders. So we're creating this inverted triangle. And to come out, we bend the knees, uncurl the toes, and sink back to the child's pose. Let's try that whole thing again. We're going to move into the half series, so we'll shift forward into our kneeling plank. Little bend in the elbows. Sink back to our child's pose. Tuck our toes and lift our hips to down dog. From our down dog, let's inhale up onto the balls of our feet. And on our exhale, we'll slowly lower one heel toward the ground. Same thing other side, inhaling up to the balls of our feet. Exhaling the other heel toward the ground. Let's do that a few times. We're walking our dog. Inhale up. Exhale one heel down. And then we'll come out of our down dog. And now we're going to relax in our child's pose. So from this position, we can open the knees, create plenty of room for the belly. We can stack hands or fists for our forehead. We could reach our arms behind us and let the forehead rest on the ground. So while we're here, notice that we can relax the muscles in our face. Perhaps we feel the breath move a little deeper into our lungs. Even into our back, we feel that lift and lower with the inhale and exhale. Now we're going to come out of our child's pose and into our cat and cow. So starting on all fours, we bring the shoulders over the crease of the wrist, hips over the knees, and before we start flowing in our cat and cow, let's just practice pulling our belly away from the ground. So we can let it soften a little bit on the inhale without shifting our spine or our hips. So we still have that long line from the crown of the head to the tailbone. So no movement there, but on that exhale, we're going to pull the belly away from the ground. On that next exhale, we'll move into our cat pose. So we pull the shoulder blades away from the spine. The tailbone now does tuck under. The chin comes toward the chest. On the inhale, we move into our cow, lifting the heart, but keeping length in the back of the neck. So we want to avoid wrinkles, which would occur if we looked straight out. So that's cow on the inhale and cat on the exhale. Inhale, reaching with the heart. Exhale, drawing the belly in. Pulling the shoulder blades away from each other. One more time, in and out of cat and cow. And we'll sink back to our child's pose. If we're not used to being on or weight bearing on our hands, which most of us are not, we want to probably give ourselves a little break here, a little counter stretch. So extending the arms behind us with the palms up and then lifting the fingertips toward the sky can help. Another way we can stretch the wrists is by interlacing the fingers and just making figure eights. Even clenching the fingers to make a fist and then spreading them out. So just loosening up any tension that we may have created in the hands and wrists there. So we're going to come into our child's pose with arms extended in preparation for moving into our down dog, tucking our toes, lifting our hips. And we're going to walk our feet forward into our forward fold. We'll take a deep knee bend and reverse our swan dive, inhaling up and exhaling to mountain. So we're going to move our mountain to the front of our mat, and we're going to go through a nice slow sun salutation together. So we start with our feet hip width apart. We have that nice alignment, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over knees, knees over ankles. We want to be careful to always keep a little micro bend in the knees. Maybe not a bend that is even perceptible to someone looking, but you can feel if they're not locked. Particularly if you have a tendency to have hypermobility or really flexible joints. So remind ourselves, tiny little bend, micro bend in the knees, shoulders back and down, palms forward, belly pulled in to 3 out of 10. We'll inhale our arms overhead, and we hinge at the hips and swan dive into our forward fold. Keeping our back safe, our hands are always touching down either to the floor or the blocks. And we'll step our right foot back into a low lunge. Hands are framing the front foot. And we'll step the front foot back now into our down dog. And inhale, shifting our weight forward to our plank or our kneeling plank. Shoulders are back and down, away from our ears. And we'll let the arms hug the body and slowly lower. And inhale into our baby cobra. So the arms hug the body, the belly pulls in. Keep length in the spine as we inhale and lift. And then pushing back through our child's pose, tucking our toes, lifting our hips into down dog. And we'll aim that right foot between the hands. If it doesn't make it all the way on the first try, we just wiggle the toes or help it along. Then we land with that foot again between the hands, with length in the back leg. And we'll step the back foot forward, meeting in our forward fold. And take a deep knee bend so the head lifts above the heart, reversing our swan dive up. And exhaling into chair. So hands come to our heart. We sink down. We could wiggle our toes with weight on our heels. And we'll meet standing tall in our mountain. So we've just done one half of our sun salutation. We'll inhale, arms up, and exhale, swan dive into our forward fold. Can you hear Rocco outside? He's a happy dog. We'll step our left foot back into our low lunge. And our right foot back into our down dog. And we'll shift our weight forward, inhaling to plank or kneeling plank. Exhale, slowly lowering. Inhale for our baby cobra, keeping length in the spine. The arms hug the body. The belly pulls in. And pushing up and back through child's pose into down dog. We'll step that left foot forward with length in the back leg. And step the back foot forward into forward fold, so our feet are hip width apart. We'll take a deep knee bend, reverse our swan dive up on the inhale, and exhale into chair. And standing tall, coming back to our mountain. From our mountain, we're going to move into one standing balance pose, and this is called the balancing star. This is to work on hip abductors. Those are muscles that tend not to get worked often in daily life, so this is a good practice to do a couple times a week. So we're going to shift to one side and extend the other foot out. It's important that all 10 toes are pointing the same direction. The belly's pulled in, we keep length in the spine. If we like, we can extend arms overhead with the fingers spread. And then we can choose if we leave those toes grounded, or if we feel stable enough to pull the toes away from the ground. So even if the toes are pulled away from the ground, we still keep them pointing forward. If we point them up, we're going to be working different muscles. The belly pulls in. Think about pulling muscles closer to the bone. And the breath flows in and out through the nose. And whenever we're ready, we can take that same balance to the other side, shifting weight, finding our stability, pulling the belly in. One thing that often helps with balance poses is finding a focal point on a diagonal, down and away, something stationary. Call it a dristi. And we keep that steady gaze and focus on our breath as it flows in and out through our nose. So we'll meet back in our mountain whenever you're ready. And we're going to prepare to do just a couple stretches down on the ground, followed by a meditation. So from our mountain, we'll inhale our arms up, practice our hip hinge as we exhale forward. And we're going to come down to the ground. First one knee and then the next. We'll drop a hip and sweep our legs around. So we're preparing to come down onto our back, so we just want to scoot forward so we know we have enough room behind us. We'll extend one leg and grasp behind the other. Draw the belly in and slowly come down. And with our knees bent and our feet grounded, arms by our sides. We feel that rise and fall of the belly. Let's just do a few pelvic tilts. So on that exhale, draw the belly in and press the low back into the ground. On the inhale, we'll come back to that neutral pelvis and trying that a few times. Exhaling the belly in, rocking the hips into that posterior tilt as the low back presses into the ground. Inhaling back to neutral. One more time, exhaling and inhaling. And now we're going to bring the right leg to the chest, grasping behind the thigh, and draw circles with the toes, clockwise and counterclockwise. And we'll slowly extend that heel toward the sky, pulling the toes toward the shin. And on that exhale, we'll bring the leg a little closer. Check that alignment. I know I have the tendency to jut my chin forward, so creating that double chin, feeling length in the back of the neck, like someone is just very gently tapping on our nose. We gently feel the back of the head into the mat. On the exhale, we'll bring the leg in perhaps a little closer, feeling a little bit more length along the back of the leg, keeping the toes pulling toward the shin. And feel that breath flowing in and out through the nose. And feel everything soften, the muscles in the face and shoulders. And we'll move to our reclined pigeon. This is to stretch those hip abductors that we worked on the balancing star. So we're going to let that right ankle come down and find the outside of the left thigh, so it's actually hanging over the edge. We keep that foot flexed, toes pulling toward the shin, and perhaps right here we feel a hip stretch. If we do not, we can grasp behind the left thigh and bring that foot off the ground until we feel just the right stretch in that right hip. Again, we feel the muscles in the face soften on our exhale. And we just appreciate that little gentle stretch in the outer hip. We can slowly come out of that stretch, and we'll take the same thing to the other side, extending the left heel toward the sky, gently bringing the leg a little closer, finding length through the spine as we give ourselves that little double chin. On that next exhale, we might bring the leg back a little bit more, increasing the length in the calf and the hamstring, toes pulling toward the shin. The breath flowing in and out through the nose. And we'll cross that ankle over the opposite thigh. We can decide if we have enough of a stretch here. If not, we can grasp behind the right thigh and gently bring that leg in. We feel that rise and fall of the belly. We don't have to engage those muscles anymore. They're nice and soft. And when you're ready, we can slowly come out of that stretch, and we'll find a comfortable position for our meditation. So legs could be extended if that's comfortable. If it feels better on the low back, we bend the knees, walk the feet out to the edges, and let the knees fall together. Another option would be to place our feet on a chair or a bed or sofa, or we can even scoot over to a wall and bring our legs up against the wall. And we'll talk about that another time. But if that's already familiar with you, go ahead and find your most comfortable position for this meditation or Shavasana. So we walk our shoulders down away from our ears, our palms are up. And we can allow our eyes to close if that feels comfortable. And for the next few minutes, we're just going to watch our breath as if we are the observer in full awareness. We feel that breath coming in through the nose. Let's see if we can extend it so the exhale is longer than the inhale. Just like when we started with that pursed lip breathing, that exhale was longer than the inhale. See if we can also do that, but this time breathing in and out through our nose. Just extending that exhale a tiny bit. If we notice our mind wandering, we gently, without judgment, bring it back to pay attention to our breath. And that exhale, that's a little longer than the inhale. We can slowly begin to wiggle our fingers and our toes. And when we're ready, we can bend our knees, rolling to our side, and use our top arm. We'll push ourselves up and meet in a comfortable seated position. And we'll find length in our spine. Inhaling arms overhead, exhaling hands to our heart. Thank you so much.